guys, glad you're back. I've got an absolutely delicious one for you today. Steak and potatoes. It's kind of that traditional celebratory meal. Hey, something's gone great this week, or you're happy and you've had a great week. Why not go out and have a steak dinner? Well, you can make your own. I went to the local market and they had these absolutely beautiful T-bones on sale. They were about £1.50 each. I'm gonna salt them, which some websites would have you call that dry brining. A brine is a solution. A brine is water and salt that you use for, marinating or fermenting. When you salt something, you're not going to suddenly get this liquid appearing everywhere, particularly with the way I salt my chickens and my steak. Little salt on both sides, goes on a rack, and then goes into the fridge overnight. And when it comes out, it has a tacky feel on the outside. But what's happened is some liquid's been drawn out and it evaporates into the fridge, but that salt also penetrates deeper into the meat, so you get more flavorful meat. Instead of doing the traditional mashed potatoes or steak frites, I'm gonna do potato pancakes. They're absolutely delicious, crispy, easy to make, and they're a hell of a vehicle for sour cream. I like showing you nice stuff, so I want to show you something absolutely beautiful. Like, look at this. This is beautiful. And these are going to go into the fridge just like this. No cover, nothing. Because what I want is them to dry. And give it just a nice little salting on the outside. Now, when I'm going a little more precise, what I'll do is measure them. I will salt them at 1.65% of their weight. That steak you get at the end, you don't really need to salt it because it's been almost perfectly seasoned at that point. This is going to sit in the fridge overnight, and then we're going to come back and cook this puppy up. Here's all of our ingredients for the potato pancakes. As you can see, it's super simple. Some potatoes, half an onion, 1 egg, a couple tablespoons of flour, and then salt. First step, going to peel the potatoes, get them into water, and then grate them, and then back into the water. The reason I'm using water here is you don't want your potatoes to turn dark, and they do that when they oxidize. When they're in water, that process is stopped. But once you have it peeled, into the bowl. And you repeat the process for however many potatoes you want. 4 of these smaller to medium potatoes will work better with the amount of egg that I have. This is a jumbo egg. Just cut the skin off, peel off the dry parts. We're going to be grating part of this, not all of it. So to make life easier, leave the root on. It's going to hold it all together. That's all I really want. And I went with doing the really small, fine blades on my box grater. You can use a food processor if you want, or one of these. I'm gonna go with this side. And you're gonna get a grate that's about this size. This is what you want. So as you grate it, throw it into the water, and that'll prevent it from turning brown. So I do with this what I normally do with my French fries, is I'm going to wash these about a bit, and the water's going to get cloudy, so I'll just change this water a couple times, and then I'm going to drain it after the water is relatively clear. So we have my drained potatoes. All right, they're still a little wet. I just roll them up in some doubled over paper towels. We're not going to get all the water out of it. That's fine. I just want to get as much of the excess out of it as possible. Now salt. It's a good amount of potato that we have. I like to give the egg just a quick little stir. I want to get everything nice and initially just mixed around. At this point, this smells like a lot of onion, because all that onion was really broken down by the grater. Now, take our flour, and we're set. Now this will need to sit for about 10 minutes. Now when I make these pancakes, I do it in a mix of butter and olive oil. Now when I was in culinary school, we were told that if you mix butter and olive oil, that the olive oil itself will prevent the butter from burning, which is completely inaccurate. It's a culinary myth. What it does is the olive oil just dilutes the butter. The milk solids in the butter are what burns, and they'll burn anyway. It's just you'll have more liquid for it to get dispersed through, so you still have to worry about not overcooking the butter and not overheating it. Once you get it down in the pan, use your scoop or whatever you're using. Just go ahead and flatten it out, kind of make sure it's all held together. And when it's done cooking, throw it onto your sheet pan or a plate that's got a little bit of paper under it to catch any excess oil, and then put it in your oven to warm. The first pancake is always going to tell you where you need to have your temperature at. You want it to crisp up around the edges, as we have going here, but you don't want it to be cooking so high that the bottom burns before any heat really starts coming through the top. You're going to start seeing it have this kind of line of translucence that starts moving up. That's good. That's what we're looking for. That means it's going to hold together when we flip it. There we go. That looks good. Here's our steak. I want to talk about it a little before we cook it. It's been sitting in the fridge. Any liquid that's come up from the salt has evaporated into the fridge itself. And so now I can show you both the color that it has now, as well as what the steak itself is. So here is the T. This is all bone. This right here is the filet mignon. And this right here is a New York steak. All right, this pan's super hot. About every minute or so, you want to flip it over. But right now, we're getting that first sear. So when you're setting that crust, don't move it. Just let it sit. All right, time for our first flip. Now at this point, I'm going to bring the temperature down a little bit. It's going to stay pretty hot because soon here I'm going to put butter in, and I don't want the butter to burn. All right, now before I start throwing the butter in, I want to get some of this fat here on the sides melted out. In goes butter, along with crushed garlic cloves and a little bit of sage. All right, this steak is done. I'm gonna cut the fillet off, cut the strip off, and then slice them. This feed a couple people easy. So that's the fillet separated, and just run your blade right along the bone. Slices. Now this has had about 5 minutes to rest. You know, as I was going through and resetting the camera, taking a couple pictures. I think I may have done a selfie with the steak. Are those called steakies? This is ready to go. All right, time for the exciting part. So I got a piece here. It's a little more on the medium rare side, but it's got a ton of that compound butter on it. It smells absolutely delicious. I took it a little further than rare, what I normally do, because in a pan, it's a little harder to get that fat to render down, and I wanted some of that fat to render, because it tastes just absolutely fine. Let's try this. Oh my God, that's good. So the beef stayed tender. The drying that it got in the fridge helped increase how flavorful it is, because it also got a nice hint of the salt all the way down into the meat. And these potato pancakes pair so perfectly with the steak, especially if some of that compound butter gets on them. Oh my God. This is a winning meal. This is the kind of meal you make this for somebody and they're gonna want to be your buddy for life. Actually, I guarantee you that. This is the torture I go through. Oh my God. So there it is. Nice, simple, nothing crazy. It'll come together pretty quick and you can do it right on your stove. All right, see you next time. I'm gonna finish this.